Hey muses, welcome back to my channel, and if you are new here, hi, hello, welcome. My name is Tyler. I am a professional tarot reader and content creator across all of the major platforms, which are TikTok, Instagram, and here on YouTube. Those are what I consider the major platforms right now. And this is a little special edition. If you hear pitter patter. It is currently raining here in New York City as I am filming. So that might be a little background noise, a little ambient noise in the background. But this is my top 5 tarot decks. This was recommended to me while I was doing my Tuesday night tarot. And we actually have an extra one. So maybe the 6 top tarot decks, in my opinion, that I love currently. Or that means something to me that I go through rotation, and maybe we'll see how this changes throughout. But yeah, so in no particular order, we are going to start with the Al Hirschfeld Broadway Tarot deck. This deck was something that I discovered when I was in the process of kind of really diving into doing tarot full time, and I wanted something that really connected to my roots and to my background. As some of you might know, but if you don't know, I have a degree in theater performance and a minor in music. So this really hit home for me when I was doing my research for Broadway Con to see if there was a Broadway deck, and this came up on my pre-order options. So this is the Al Hirschfeld Broadway Tarot deck by Emily McGill. Emily and I have become colleagues, friends. I've attended her seminars at Broadway Con. We've been able to kind of communicate and talk about things. Emily created this deck with the Hirschfeld estate, and what she did is she was able to go through the archives of Hirschfeld's illustrations, and instead of making the traditional RWS imagery that we're used to seeing, she found images that represent the energy, right? Strength, this kiss of a spider woman. She found pictures that represent the energy of what the card means and put them onto the cards. And in the guidebook that we have, it talks about that. So let's kind of, because we just stopped on strength, let's give it a little read through, right? Strength is something that both inherited and must be practiced. While the gift of strength may come from your ancestors, without continued practice, you will not grow or evolve, and the power fades. Consider what it takes internally to move towards what you want. Strength challenges you to do the hard thing, but when that is the next best thing for you. Strength challenges you to do the harder thing when that is the next best thing for you. By alchemizing your raw emotions, you can harness your power and an ever greater captivity. Lewis spends his fantasizing about his favorite actress, Aurora, to escape the horrors of his reality. This makes his life bearable. You also have the inner strength it takes to find a way through difficult circumstances. Kiss of a Spider Woman, you even get a song reference if it is a musical. Great, lovely guidebook. Comes in a folding box, but also comes in a lovely tuck box. Yeah, so this is one of my favorite decks I use personally, just to kind of give a little energy pull. Cardstock is lovely. Can do uprights and inversions. They are on the larger side, just for comparison. They're a little larger than standard. So that is the Hirschfeld Broadway Tarot. So next I want to talk about the Golden Girls Tarot. Now, this deck is not from the original publishers. This is probably from a copycat, not authentic, but it is something I love. Love the Golden Girls. These are the backs of the cards. They are about playing card size, but the images are just lovely and fun. You have all of the girls showing up. I do reference this a lot too when I am reading with clients, because sometimes the explanations of the cards with this kind of imagery is easier for people to understand compared to the RWS, which is a little bit of a dated imagery. This deck is not in publication anymore, so this is just one that I'm not going to be able to link below, but it is one that I'm happy that I was able to discover and find. Gustave Doré Tarot. Now, the Gustave Doré Tarot came about when I was looking for a darker tarot deck. And it is definitely much darker. Love the backs, love the kind of vintage, kind of wallpapery design. But this came at a point in time for me when I was looking for just something that was a little bit darker, and a little bit moodier. But I love, like, the Knight of Pentacles, stand and declare what you want. This is just, it was easy to read right out of the box for me, even though it does come with the traditional Lo Scarabeo little pocket guidebook. Not much really in depth there, but the energy here in this deck is just so powerful, right? There's not 10 swords, but you still get that down and out feeling. Throwing open the windows. Taking this artwork to making them into a tarot deck, I thought was lovely and beautiful. The sun. This also is giving me Lord of the Rings at the end when the eagles pick up Frodo and Samwise Genji after they've thrown the ring into the fire, right? That is that energy that we might be tired, but the heavens and the earths are still going to be able to pick us up. Just lovely jumpers. The Hanged Man, the fallen angel coming out while everyone's kind of freaking out down below. There is this death card on the moon. Beautiful. I don't know, it is one of my favorites. The cardstock of Lo Scarabeo from their little tuck boxes, I think, has to be one of my favorite and easiest decks and cards to shuffle. So that is a quick little sneak peek at the Lo Scarabeo Gustave Doré as one of my favorite decks. I haven't pulled this out in a while, but this one might come back into rotation, actually. So let's talk Tarot of the Divine. This is a deck that is probably going to stay within my collection for a very long time. This deck was actually gifted to me by my best friend Adam, also known as Official Madam Adam LLC here on YouTube. Adam and Dustin were in town visiting us on their vacation, and we went to Namaste Bookshop, and Adam and I geeked out over the wall of tarot cards that Namaste Bookshop has, which, by the way, I actually read down there now. So if you would like to get a reading from me, check out Namaste's website. I'll link that below. But Adam and I were standing around talking about tarot decks, and he pointed out this deck to me specifically because of the deities, folklore, and fairy tales, and having a theater background, this absolutely resonates with me. And like, right, this looks like Moana off the bat. Like, you can see the folklore and fairy tales that are here. The lovely guidebook goes into the stories that there are. But this creator also has multiple different additional books. Sleeping Beauty as the Hanged Man, that talks about each of the different fairy tales more in depth. The Fairy Godmother as the Magician, right? This is just, if you like Disney, but you don't want something as Disney-esque, right? Like unofficial Disney dupe, right? This is definitely going to give that energy. Lovely, the Moon card, the Hermit card. Lovely cardstock. This is one that I've actually just brought back into the Little Mermaid, being the Fool. Just brought back into rotation down at the shop because sometimes I gotta mix up the deck. I gotta read differently than what I'm used to. These cards are lovely. They have held up to wear and tear and shuffling. But just an overall lovely deck to use if you're looking for a deck that is fairy tales based. One of my favorites. Because it was a gift, it means the absolute world to me. It's it's not as snappy as you think some of the other decks, right? As the Gustave Doré deck. It's a smoother shuffle, which I love and enjoy. The backs are beautiful. So yeah, Tarot of the Divine. Now, before we get on to, the last two, this is the Radiant Rider-Waite. This is also going to be in my collection for as long as I possibly can. This is my original first tarot deck for myself. This is what I trained on. This is what I sat shuffling constantly. This has my energy tapped into it 100%. This is also one that I use for my daily pulls. So the Radiant Rider-Waite, this is also one that I will be using in videos as we do deep dives so that we can see the imagery compared to the Rider-Waite and any of the new decks. So that is Radiant. This is just a special shout out because this means the world to me. So yeah. And the last deck in this kind of my top 6 favorite tarot decks. This is, I call it Accurate Color Tarot. It really doesn't have a name on it. You can see that this box has seen some better days because this is a guidebook and tarot deck that I was gifted or inherited. A friend of mine reached out to me after her parents were going through her grandparents' things and discovered that her grandmother had a whole bunch of tarot decks and metaphysical things. And the family reached out to me because they didn't want to just discard it. And they asked if I would take it. And I, without hesitation, said, yes, absolutely. I will take what you have, whatever you want to send me. Please send it to me. They sent me tarot decks and books that she had to kind of start the basis of my collection. And so this is one of the decks that I do use. It is a Rider-Waite. The colors are beautiful, but as you can see, let me zoom in a little bit here. Her handwriting is on the cards. It is a little bit faded. but this seems to be like her personal deck that she used. And so I look at this deck as a opportunity for communication with loved ones, maybe on an older, wiser, kind of deeper understanding, kind of that I need to communicate with my grandmother, with older spirits, ancestor. There's the word. As an ancestral deck, is kind of how I look at it. But the colors are beautiful. It really helps bring in color theory. You can see that there is a little bit of water damage, but that is my fault. I took this deck with me and I didn't have it safely packaged, and it got really, really wet. So, which I think adds to my own take on it, my own blessing of the deck, if you will. But it's one of the ones that just, I think these are all sentimental decks. They are my favorites, but they're more my sentimental favorites. So the shuffle on this one is beautiful and fun. Just a lovely, different color palette for a Rider-Waite-Smith. So this is what I like to call the accurate color tone tarot. I don't know if this is the official name, but yeah, this is one of my favorite decks. So this was my top 5 and top 6 little quick tarot deck review. Any of the decks that can be linked below, I will link them below. Let me know in the comments which one was your favorite, and please don't forget to follow, like, subscribe, turn on that YouTube notification bell so you don't miss another tarot deck video. Thank you so much for being here. Remember, friends, go slow, be present, and breathe.